What's going on, everybody? This is the Distance Theory podcast here with my co-host Ryan Mazzozo, and we have a special guest today. He was a Charleston Southern graduate and my teammate, former teammate at CSU, and a friend. I'd like to welcome Trevor Dominy.
What's going on, guys?
Great to have you, bro. So
thanks for listing all my accomplishments. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So individual qualifier, two-time Big Ten champion. I appreciate it, man.
So Trevor had a very interesting collegiate career. If you want to just give a quick background, because I really wanted to base this podcast more so on I was gonna name the title championship mentality, since you have a lot of experience with that. So
yeah, I can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
So when I first went to CSU, coming out of high school, I was running in a small classification. So I was in 1A in Virginia, which is the smallest classification. Obviously, there weren't that many good people. So I was winning every race. And then coming to college, it was kind of like a culture shock for me, where I thought that I was gonna keep winning everything, or at least competing for the win. And then running at the Division I level, obviously, you're not going to do that your freshman year, and so that was kind of tough for me. And it took me a long time to figure out that mentality to where I could end up winning again.
So, quick background, guys. At CSU, we've had a long history. I mean, the school opened back in the 60s or something like that. But Trevor was around during the dark ages of CSU.
Oh my God, yeah.
So just, I don't know, kind of explain how much different the team was, because we have a pretty good team right now. But Trevor, I mean, you just go ahead, bro.
Yeah, man. It's a lot different now than it was back then. The class that was brought in with me, it was literally just me and Jarek. Jarek was mainly an 800 runner out of Georgia, and he was extremely talented, one of the most talented runners that I've ever seen in my entire life. He ended up running low 14s. He was really good, and he probably could have ended up running in the 1330s if he had been fully committed to it. But yeah, back then it was literally just me and Jarek. We had no idea what we were doing. Coach Stincy was attempting to show us the ropes and what real training at the Division I level was, but it took us a long time to figure that out. So
Trevor was basically in a transition phase where our school was going from being an all sprint school to an all distance school, basically. Yeah. So and Trevor was a key piece in the foundation of that. Jarek was as well, but Jarek is Jarek. So
Jarek is Jarek. Fantastic guy. I love him.
Yeah. But basically Trevor laid the foundation, kind of guessing, your training was pretty much just guessing every day, how fit you were and stuff like that. And just kind of, talk about how different the training was from your freshman year all the way to your fifth year.
So obviously, one thing that Coach Stincy at CSU tries to do is when you first come in, you're not going to start at the mileage that you're running when you're a senior, right? Because you have to build up to that mileage. Your body can't handle it when you're a freshman. So my freshman year, I think I was pushing it at probably 85 a week, which at that point was, I would say, too much for my body, which ended up getting me injured. And that's kind of a reoccurring theme throughout my college career was injuries.
Yeah.
For my senior year.
I have a question for you later on with that too. So
yeah. Well, dude, it was a wild ride, but I mean, dude, it took me so long to figure out the keys to success in college. And I think I can shine a light on that a little bit for people and what worked for me and what didn't. But one of the notes that I wrote down here when I found out I was doing this podcast was I think my mindset with running was incredibly different to a lot of people, because I was like so focused. Running was my only priority, and I had nothing else in my life, right? And so I mean, like to an unhealthy amount.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, that's not the case, right? But for me, that caused me to overtrain and to like push my body to where I knew it couldn't go, but I pushed myself and ended up getting injured. And then ultimately that led me to setbacks and like not being as good as I could have been. But yeah, that was the story of like the first probably 3 years in college of the 5 years that I spent.
Yeah. So there was like so when I came in, I remember looking at you on like your T first and everything and being like, okay, this guy's pretty good. But you don't realize how truly good somebody is based off their times. Like when you go, especially with college, because when you go and you actually see them training, Jarek was, I don't, or not Jarek. Yeah, Jarek was the fastest guy in the 5K like that year that I came in, right? Like 2019.
Yeah, he ran like 14:19, I think.
Yeah.
20 or something like that.
Yeah, and then but Trevor's PR was only like 14:42
46.
46.
I think.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, I was like, oh, okay, he's pretty good, but you know, you have this guy Jarek running 14:19, but you don't realize like when I got there and started training, I was like, holy shit, like Trevor is like probably like the most fit guy on the team, and you don't really see that just based off time. And I just want you to talk. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say one of the things that I pride myself on is I was never a time trialer. I was a racer. I was out there to compete. Like at the highest level. I wasn't out there to run the fastest time, right? And so one thing that you probably noticed when you were in college with me was that whenever it was a conference championship or the race actually mattered, that was the time when I decided to show up and I decided to like give it absolutely everything. But other than that, like, and I don't know exactly why this is, but I never really found the motivation to like push myself to that next level. If it was just like, oh, I need to run like low 14s or like sub 14, I could never push myself to do that. But if it was like, I need to beat this guy to get the gold medal, I was going to do
it. So what was the key? Because that my freshman year, I mean, it was still pretty rough for us as a team. We had a long ways to go from there. So, which is kind of funny because your fifth year kind of landed in that COVID year. So what did you do that took you from being 1446, not really on the radar, to making nationals and cross country and winning the Big South?
There was two different things. One of them had to do with training and one of them had to do with mindset. In regards to training, the story of that is in 2020, I decided I was going to push myself super hard to the point of running like 115 miles a week for like 6 months straight. Yeah. And obviously that broke me down and I ended up getting injured to the point where I had to like go to the doctor and get a bunch of tests done and get a bunch of... was,
I forget, this was back in like January, right?
Yeah, January, February of 2020 is when I was going through this. Yeah. But they had thought I had torn my labrum in my hip at that point, which would have like pretty much ended my college career.
And that would we have like 3 other people on our team that they've torn their labrums and they've like pretty much never been the same since then.
Yeah, so it would have been bad, but thankfully I didn't tear my labrum. I just got a bunch of cortisone injections and kept running. But after that, I kind of took a step back and I realized that I probably shouldn't be pushing mileage as hard as I should be. And I should be more focused on the workouts, but not focused in the sense of like pushing the workouts as hard as I could, focused on getting through the workouts at the prescribed times as easy as I could.
So why did you switch that up though? What made you like reconsider that?
Honestly, I was scared of getting injured, but also because I was at that lower mileage and I could just kind of coast through workouts because I was more fresh than everybody else. So like, you know, Alan, who's one of the best guys on the team now,
Yeah.
I would go into a workout with him and he was running 90, 100 miles a week and I was running 60, say.
Yeah.
Was right
So
about,
you were just sandbagging. You're racing every workout.
I was pretty much just sandbagging. But the funny thing about that is 60 to 70 miles a week is probably what I should have been at. That's what my body can handle, right? And I think for a lot of people, what they don't realize is like you have to figure out how much mileage your body can handle and what is the ideal amount for you, because everyone's different, you know?
Yeah.
Like for me, it was 60, 70. For somebody else, it could be 120, you know? There's those genetic freaks out there who can handle 120 and then they go out there and they're fantastic, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, talking more specifically, let's think about Matt Inman, another guy on the team.
Yeah.
I told Matt his 5th year, I said, hey, you don't need to be running 100, 110 miles a week. I think like at this point in your career, you should back off, the same thing I did, and just really focus on the workouts and the races. And he didn't take my advice, and it didn't go super well for him.
Yeah.
All the best.
Which he would also admit.
Yeah, I mean, all the best to him. It didn't go super well, but I think that strategy would have worked for him, because once you put those miles in of 115 miles a week and you do that for 6 months straight, it's kind of like a backlog of work that you've already done. Mm-hmm. If you lower your mileage, you're not going to lose all that fitness.
Yeah,
you retain that fitness and then you just freshen up.
And when if you increase the quality, I mean, like there's 2 ways to get better at running: either increase mileage or increase quality. Well, sometimes it's neither of those things, and that was kind of what
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
That's smart.
And a lot of guys get so like hell bent on running like 100 miles a week, and it's like a super toxic mentality that us distance runners have, that like, you know, we have to be running like 80, 90 a week, otherwise we're gonna be like, you know, we're gonna suck. We're gonna be like, I'm not gonna throw any names out there, but we're gonna be like Winthrop, or we're gonna be like, you know, like stuff like that. So
it's almost like that fear in the back of your mind that if you back off, you're gonna get worse. But once you get past that and you realize that like this is what your body needs, you actually take a step forward.
And I'll give you another good example. One of the other guys on our team, Tim Depew, he went from like, he was like struggling like with just injury after injury after injury his first 2 years. And then he said, hey, you know, talked to coach and was like, hey, you know, I'm going to try running 50 to 60 with a day off a week. And he went from being like a 16 to 25K guy now to like 1440s. So
yeah, dude, he's been killing it.
But that just goes to show you is that, and he was never super talented in high school. He'll be the first to tell you that. He's a hard worker and he knows what works for him. So that's pretty much it. So
also, I think people need to realize what their potential is.
Yeah. Some guys are like, well, you know, every runner wants to go to the Olympics when they first start.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was the same mentality I had. I was like, if I want to go to the Olympics, I have to run 120, 150 miles a week, maybe. Right.
Yeah.
But it's like, you realistically might not be able to do that. And it's not healthy and it's not good for you.
That's very true.
You gotta maximize what the most your body can do is.
You have something hanging over your head the whole time. And truthfully, there are a lot of runners that just will never reach that point. It's just the truth. And you just have to accept it's more so kind of accepting your role. Like, because if you do that, then you can probably maximize your potential in the sport. If you don't, then you're probably going to be like, you know, have a lot of what ifs by the end of your career.
Yeah. I mean, there's still some what ifs for me, I will say.
So, all right. So, so you're saying training, you switched up a lot. Is there anything else that you think you could have attributed to?
Yeah. The other key factor, as I said, was definitely the mentality. So this is kind of a weird thing, but when I was younger, I used to be like way too competitive to the point where I would be like angry and stuff. Which is, I don't know, it's a bit silly. But,
that's scary.
Yeah, I literally was the same way, so I feel you on that.
Throw tantrums and stuff.
I'd love to see that.
Nah, it was annoying.
Actually, no, I've seen it a
was
little
really
bit.
annoying.
I've
You've
seen
seen
a little bit.
you've seen a couple of them probably. So.
I got a video of one of them.
Oh yeah, that's true actually.
Yeah, you screaming the F word in front of coach. Anyways, but yeah, mentality wise, so I used to be super competitive, and then I kind of reined that back a little bit because I realized that that was unhealthy and not attractive to most people. And then that last year, I found that again, but I internalized it, which also was probably not healthy. I internalized it to a point of like, this is going to sound really weird to everybody out there. It's going to be really weird, but
Trevor is not a normal guy. I'll be the first to tell you guys that he's not.
I'm not. Yeah. And I'm glad that I've been able to like release. I have like almost two different personalities, right? Where I can like have this anger that fuels me to these performances, but then also just kind of like chill out and like hang out with friends.
Yeah, I just don't really give a shit. Like whatever.
And play disc golf.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, as I said, it was fueled by anger. And a lot of that is it boils down to the fact of like why I ran, which is something that I thought about a lot, that I want to challenge anybody who's listening to this podcast who runs to think about. It's like, why do you actually run? Because running is a brutal sport.
Mm-hmm.
Any endurance sport is incredibly brutal. So like, why do you do it? And what that came down to for me was the reason why I did it was for acceptance. Right. So like in high school, I was accepted by all of like the, let's say, jocks, because I was a state champion or whatever. And like everyone's like, oh, that's Trevor. He's the fast kid. Right.
Yeah.
And then I went to college and I had this sort of crisis where like I wasn't that fast anymore. And all I wanted to be was fast. And that's another reason why I pushed the mileage. And so I used that kind of anger to fuel me to my performances, which was, I don't know, it's a strange concept, but that's how my mind works.
Honestly, it's not as far-fetched as you think, because I think a lot of us do the same thing.
I was gonna say the top athletes do that, like Jordan, Brady, Kobe. They're always angry and they have like two personalities and they talk about that. So it's weird, but it's not weird, because I feel like all these top athletes have some type of like the killer mindset and then like the fun, whatever. I don't know, you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
I kind of see it as like, when you go into work, you're there to work, you're not there to socialize. So when you're at work, you're not really focused on making friends and talking to people and shit. You're worried about getting stuff done. And then outside of that, obviously, you shouldn't be that way. I personally, I was in that mode. Like if you knew me in high school, I used to be in that mode like 24/7. Like there was no like turning like the off button or anything. So it's unhealthy, but some people they get really into that for whatever reason.
The analogy of work though is a little bit odd, because it was like 6 or 7 steps above that for me. It was like I would go into a race, and if it was me versus this one kid, I literally hated him and I was willing to die to beat him, you know, which is kind of the mindset you have to have if you want to win, or if you want to push yourself to the point of like, so the way I think about it is like, if you have that extra 1%, when it gets to, say you're running a 5K, right? Yeah. And you get to 2.3 miles into the 5K, right? You have a decision. If it's 1% easier for you to make that decision to make a move, or to make the move with the guy that will ultimately end with you winning the race, then I'll do anything for that extra 1%.
Yeah.
Or I would have, not anymore. But.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like, in a way, it's like, basically you wanted to suffer more than anybody else out there that you're running against.
See, I didn't want to suffer. I just wanted to destroy them.
Okay. So you wanted, also you wanted to just shoot them straight in the head and kill them, like right then and there.
No, it was quite, I don't know. I guess it was more on me. Yeah, I just wanted to suffer. I guess it was more like that.
Okay, so
It's hard to understand the mindset.
yeah.
It's hard. It's even hard for me now. Like when I was there, I explained it to Gavin, who's another guy on our team, and he totally understood. And he was like, "Dude, you're insane, right?"
Yeah.
But he also took it and like kind of utilized it a little bit himself, and he can switch it on and off too.
Yeah.
But
Question: how do you flip it on and off? Like, how do you get in that mindset of being like, I want to kill someone, and then be like, hey, how are you doing?
because there's no competition when I'm just like greeting people.
Uh-huh.
If there's any sort of competition, then that's when it comes on.
So just like that.
Yeah, like I'll be playing an ultimate frisbee game, like pickup with friends, and it'll just snap on. But I've gotten to the point where I can turn it off and be like, okay, we're just having fun.
Yeah.
But it used to be at the point where I couldn't turn that off, and I would like be screaming at people and like getting real intense.
Yeah. So you kind of, okay, so physically you started running less and more so focusing on workouts and basically just running like 50 to 60 miles a week. And then on the mental side of things, you basically just wanted to kill everybody that you're running against. So kind of walk me through, because honestly, you probably had, from what I can remember off the top of my head, you probably had the most consistent season out of everybody on the team, which also led to you eventually winning the Big South Championship and then making it to nationals. So I guess describe like how you felt that whole season, because it was a weird season that year. It was cross country during like February. So
yeah. I remember texting my dad at one point and I was like, I feel like I'm on drugs right now. I felt so, dude, I was like, I feel like I'm on EPO, because I would do a workout and we'd do like 10 by a K and it just like would not phase me at all.
Yeah.
Like it felt not like an easy run, but it felt just like a tempo, and everyone else was huffing and puffing and I just felt fine. So I don't know if it was the accumulation of all of those years of running so much and then pulling things back. But that entire season, I just felt great. There was a couple races, obviously, where I didn't perform up to my potential, I think. And that goes back to the fact that when it doesn't matter to me, or when there's no like medal on the line or something, I don't really race well. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just felt absolutely incredible.
But you still race like you never, I don't think you ever had a subpar performance that season, except for maybe FSU, which everybody ran like shit there.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I'll be honest with you. I was running like 30 or 40 miles a week over the winter.
Yeah.
And I ran first race back, I ran like 24:40.
Probably drinking a lot of beers too.
Yeah, probably. Probably a bit too many.
Yeah. Hey, you're graduated now. It's not like since he's gonna watch this anyways. So
yeah. I mean, he
so,
already knows, but
yeah, I mean, it doesn't even matter.
You see those up there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously everybody knows now that you made it to nationals. Well, how did it feel to go to nationals? And I think they had your name up in the when they did the announcement for the what is it called, where they pick all the teams for cross?
I don't know what the name is, but yeah, it's like on ESPN or whatever, and they
called your name, right?
Yeah.
How did that feel? Like that must have felt like crazy, that like, damn.
Yeah, I mean, I already knew, obviously, after I won conference, it was a very emotional moment.
Well, talk about conference first, like how, like that race.
Well, let me just say this first while I'm thinking of it.
Okay.
So I remember in the fall when cross country was canceled, I went to Coach Stincy and I said, hey, I think I can win conference in the spring in cross country.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulled the team together the next day. And he said that we needed to stop thinking selfish and start thinking more about the team as a whole, which I didn't particularly like, because cross country is an individual sport, but also a team sport, right?
Yeah.
And I knew that given the opportunity, if like obviously Kyoko from Campbell
Yeah.
Best guy in the conference. He's absolutely incredible, right? But you never know what is going to happen. And if the opportunity is there, you have to take it, right?
You also have to be ready for it.
You have to be ready for it, and you got to be ready to freaking grab that dude.
Yeah.
And so I told him that. He pulled the team aside and said, you guys got to stop thinking selfish. And that kind of ticked me off because I was like, I'm not thinking selfish. I'm just like not dreaming, but I actually think I can do this.
Yeah.
I actually think I could run fast, which I ended up running like 23:50, which is kind of rolling. But but yeah, I mean, so that happened, and then
Ryan was like, "Damn, that's my 5K PR."
It was a short course.
Yeah,
it was a short course, to be fair.
Yeah,
I do think, but I mean, it was a tough one. But yeah, where was I going with that?
So I mean, you were basically just going with like just how that race went, like.
Yeah, I mean, so the time came for the race, and it turns out.
Well, first off, Campbell ended up not being able to race because their whole team got COVID.
Exactly. 2 days before, we found out that Campbell wasn't able to be there, right? Which was absolutely insane. And we realized, hey, whoever wins this race is going to nationals.
It was like a dream. Like you guys, like the viewers, like you guys don't understand. Like that year was the only year that the NCAA made like a switch, and so every conference champion would go to nationals no matter what for cross.
Yeah, no matter what conference it is.
It didn't matter if you're in the Big South or the Big Ten. So and then we get a call, or our coach gets a call from Campbell University, who it was pretty much going to be like a dog fight between like us and them. I wasn't racing, mid-D things. So, but it was pretty much going to be a dogfight between those two schools, and then High Point as well. But then they get the call, and Campbell got COVID, so they couldn't race. And the first thing everybody said was like, Garrett, like leave the locker room right now if you're sick, like because I'm like always sick.
Yeah, because you were sick at that time too.
Yeah, I literally, bro, if anybody that knows me that's watching this knows that I get sick like so easy.
Yeah, so we were so paranoid about getting COVID before that race.
Yeah,
I remember calling my dad actually like a couple of weeks before, and I was like, Dad, like I'm in such good shape, like what happens if I get COVID? And he was like, well, it is what it is, you can't really control it. Just stay to yourself, which is what we did. I mean,
yeah,
we were pretty boring. We just kind of like stayed to ourselves for probably a month before that race.
Yeah, quad parties.
Yeah.
So basically, we get to that race, and well, quick intermission. At that point, everybody thought they could, like everybody on the team, like forget the team thing that Stincy talked about. Like everybody was selfish there because they thought they could win. And honestly,
you want to know the craziest thing?
Yeah.
The craziest thing is I actually didn't think I was going to win. I didn't even think about winning beforehand.
That's actually literally hilarious because it contradicts everything you just said.
I know. It was wild because Stincy pulled us aside and he was like I thought I could win, and then Campbell's out, and then obviously you still have High Point in our conference who has one really good guy.
Yeah.
And I remember Matt. I'm calling people out now, but Matt was in there, and he was
Matt deserves it anyways.
I love him. But anyways, Matt was like, oh my gosh, like I could win. I could go to nationals. And like something in my mind clicked, and I was like, that's like, we still have a job to do, and that's to win.
And for those of you guys that also don't know, you guys probably don't know this either. We had never won a conference title for cross before. And Matt just so happened to be the guy that blows up in every single race, except for the one unicorn race that he has, and he just shocks everybody.
Yeah, he either runs 23:50 or like 27 minutes.
27. That's being that's being a little too good to him there. So
now we're just bagging on Matt.
Yeah, you should have been there for the end of the year party. But my bad. Go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, I honestly wasn't point, and I think it goes back to the point of like once I get in the race, then I get competitive. But like during that time of like retrospection and like thinking about the race. So I wasn't in that competitive mode yet, to where I was just thinking, okay, I need to do what I can do for the team. And then through that, I thought to myself, well, is it better to get 2 points or is it better to get 1 point for the team?
Yeah.
And I realized, it's probably better to get 1 point,
Yeah. And then, so you go through a K in that race. And what's your mindset? Because literally everybody's in it at that point.
Yeah. So my racing strategy is, I think people that go out of the lead are kind of idiots, incredibly dumb, especially
Since he would agree with you. Well,
yeah. I mean, especially if people are faster than you.
Yeah.
People are faster than you. Never, ever go out in the lead. Like, what are you doing? Right.
You're just rabbiting them.
Unless the only way you can break, that's the only way you can break them, it's just like slowly grinding them down. But so my strategy was to hang in the pack of like 3 or 4 guys that we had at the front, right on high point shoulder. And they had a couple of guys up there at the front. So I was just like, okay, I'm just tempo for like as long as I can and just see how it plays out, really.
And so you got to about, I want to say, what was it, like 3 or 4K when you just broke off from everybody?
Yeah, I want to say it was like right after 5K.
Okay.
I remember so it was like a multiple loop course and we ran up the hill, and then I look over and I look behind me and it's just me and the high point guy. It's just the 2 of us, right? And the next guy is probably like 10, 15 meters back. And at that point, I was feeling absolutely fantastic as we were going up the hill. And I was like, okay, I want to put the hurt on him now. Because I could tell he was huffing and puffing coming up that hill. Because it was a pretty sizable hill.
Yeah.
And so on the back end of it coming down, I decided I'm going to run a 400 pretty much as fast as I could. And at that point, I ended up breaking away and then running the next like 2 miles by myself. And
pretty much just a really long victory lap.
Kind of, yeah. I was, for the first mile of that 2 miles, probably for the first mile of that 2 miles, I was incredibly scared. And then I remember being on the backside of the course where there was no fans, and I looked behind me and I couldn't see anybody, like for a long ways behind me. And I knew I had just that one big hill to go and then into the finish. And it was like, actually, at that point, I got a little bit emotional because I was like, oh my God, I just did it. Like,
which is insane too, because that just goes to show you, for one, how bad you broke that kid. And also two, like, just like all of like your entire collegiate career went into that race.
Pretty much, yeah. It was like it was 11 years of running pretty much for that one race.
For that one race. And so you won. So like I didn't see any tears or anything out of that. So I mean, where was the emotion? I wasn't there, so
oh yeah, you weren't there, so you didn't see it.
Yeah.
No, I didn't get really emotional after. It didn't really hit me. Like when you do something absolutely insane that you never think that you're even capable of doing, it doesn't hit you until pretty long after. So I remember I finished, and then I was like super happy just like watching people come in, because obviously I was still there to like have our team win. That's why I was running, right?
Yeah.
And so I saw all our guys come in and I was like, okay, we easily won. We took our pictures and everything and we were super happy. We did like a little dumb chant or whatever. as we were walking back to the tent, I was like, oh my God, like I'm going to Oklahoma. Like this is insane. And then I remember walking by myself. I walked by myself probably like a couple 100 meters away. And yeah, I just got a little bit emotional.
Yeah.
It's still emotional thinking about it now.
I was gonna say it. I'm sure it's probably like you don't even have enough time to really like let the emotion like overcome you. because you're worried about nationals next, and you're so caught up in the moment.
I wasn't really thinking about that, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, because I remember telling myself when I told Stincy I was gonna win, had a chance to win conference. I remember thinking to myself, like during my training runs, I was like, if I win conference, I'm probably going to like just, you know what everyone does, throw their spikes up in a tree and just retire after that. And I was like, Stincy can't give me shit if I just like retire after that, you know?
Yeah.
Which I didn't end up doing, but I kind of wish I did.
Yeah.
Because my heart wasn't in it the last track season, but
So how was nationals? Because I remember hearing some crazy splits at nationals.
yeah, it was wild. It was wild.
So I want to know the first 400 of that race. That's what I want to hear about.
I don't have a split for you the first 400, but I know that I think the first K, it was about 800 meters on a slight decline, and then 200 meters up, like back up to about the same elevation. And I want to say that was in like 242 or something like that.
Which is disgusting because
and you still have 9K of like large rolling hills after that.
Which I remember hearing too, that you guys went through 800 in like, I don't remember, like something crazy. Yeah,
like 203.
Yeah. That's insane for one on a cross course, but like it doesn't even matter. It was on a decline.
Yeah, but I remember after I qualified for nationals, one of the first workouts that we did back, I actually looked at this the other day. We were doing 800 reps. So we would do an 800 rep on a grass loop, and then we'd have a short break and do another 800 and then have a longer break. And then we did that again. And then we did some like 200s after that. But I remember doing that in the grass loop, and I was running like 208, 209 for those 800s.
Yeah.
Which is like, for me, that's fast because I don't have that much speed.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was what we were training for there, was just the quick start of it. And Stincy, I remember he wanted me to run the first 400 like in almost 60, and then just kind of like slow down and cruise the last 400 of those. Yeah. So we had trained for that fast start, but it still did not prepare me for how fast it was. And I'll tell you this, I remember I'm 800 into the race, and I'm in about 30th place, right? And we start going up the hill, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, I'm tired as heck right now, right? And I look over to my right, and I see Mario Garcia Romo.
Who just literally came fourth at the World Championships in the 1500.
And he is right next to me. And then there's, what's the other guy from Old Miss?
The guy that has a YouTube channel?
No, it wasn't him. It was, he was from Virginia. What was his name? But anyways, it was him and Garcia Romo right next to me, cruising through the K, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing right now? Like, I just absolutely.
Oh, was it Waleed?
Yeah, it was Waleed Suleiman.
Oh my gosh.
And Mario Garcia Romo and me, just cruising through the K.
Just a trio of the boys, you know.
Yeah, just boys, just packing it up. It was cool though. It was a good experience, but. I mean, at that point, as I said, my heart really wasn't in it. It's hard when you like solely focus on one race to then be like, okay, I made it to this next race, and now I'm going to like really focus again. Like, because once you put everything into one race, all that energy is gone, you know?
Yeah.
Which is why, Ryan, I know you're a college coach, right? And so my dad actually used to be the coach of one of the high school teams. And one of the things he noticed was there was one team in the conference who their coach would pump them up like super hard for the conference championship, and they would always do crazy well. And then a week later, when the state championship was, all their kids would like run terribly because they had already gassed out during that time.
Yeah, Ryan, do you have anything?
The only
I feel like you do a pretty good job of that because he also coaches high school as well.
I'll say the only thing that I can compare it to is my high school runner was like, he really wanted to win counties and be in the newspaper. And like after that, he still tried really hard, but like his best race was at counties. But Yeah, I mean, the goal is just to win or do the best the last meet. I just feel like it drives me nuts if you PR the first meet of the season, and it's like, damn, I just wasted 12 weeks after not improving. But yeah,
But it's a little different because in this case, it's like there's nothing after nationals, and he had to like you had to do that in order to get there. Like you had to like just put all your eggs in one basket at the conference championship.
Yeah, all the eggs were in one basket, and there were none left when I got to Oklahoma. I'll tell you that.
So how was the rest of that race then?
The rest of the race, so I dropped back like super hard from like 1 to 3K. And then I remember getting through 5K and I was like pretty much back of the pack. Like I was like, okay, I'm like done with this shit. And I almost, can I curse?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I like, so I'm like holding things back. But anyways, so I come through 5K and I'm like, oh my God, I just want to drop out right now. And I remember seeing like my mom and dad had flown out from Virginia all the way to Oklahoma to see me. And I was like, I can't drop out. Right. And my dad was like, just keep working up there. And so after 5K, I told myself, okay, just pick off as many people as you can. And it was kind of a fun game at that point because I could be like, okay, that's an Ole Miss guy. That's a Notre Dame guy. That's a Oklahoma guy. It was like seeing all these people that I had seen online or that I knew of that were incredible runners that I could like pass and then beat, which was it was a good time.
Yeah.
But also sucked.
Oh, I know. I mean, if you're hurting after 1K and a 10K cross country race, I can't imagine how you felt after the race.
It was brutal.
Yeah. So what was it like to pretty much Oh, you go ahead, Ryan, if you have a question.
No, I'll just ask a quick question. How did you have the confidence of like getting hurt every single year, and just like how did you, I'm guessing your confidence was low at one point, and then to see yourself to make the nationals, like what kept making you compete and, get to that final goal, being a conference champion and making the nationals?
I guess when I first started running in middle school, my dad was the coach at the high school at the time. And I remember telling the kids in high school that like one day I was going to win a state championship, which was like insane because nobody had ever done it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up going on to do that. And after that, I just kind of like believed that whatever I put my mind to, I could kind of do, And so I was like, I remember going to college and I was like, I'm going to win a conference championship in the steeple, and I'm going to win a conference championship in cross country. And I ended up doing those two things.
That's awesome.
So actually that's a good transition. So what was it like to, like, how did it make you feel knowing that at the end of your, like after everything was said and done, that you had pretty much achieved everything, almost everything, because you said you had a couple of things you wanted to do, but how did it feel to pretty much do almost everything that you wanted to do in college and with your running career?
It made quitting running very easy. No, I mean, I realized that where I was at my fifth year was close. It was close enough to my peak that I wasn't willing to trade off the amount of time it would take to get a couple extra percentage points out of what that already was.
Mm-hmm.
Like the trade-off of that wasn't worth it for me. Right. Like I realized that I probably could have run faster than I did.
Yeah.
But it would have taken a lot of time and a lot of effort. And to me, that wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
So I retired very happily, realizing that I had accomplished at least a decent amount. And so, yeah, it was good.
So do you think that it was like a full circle moment? Like, you won like a few state championships in high school, and then you won a conference championship and then got to nationals. So you think it was like a damn, like looking back at yourself, like I did it, like my high school self would thank me?
I don't think so. I think my high school self was kind of an idiot, but my high school self probably thought I was going to the Olympics one day. But we're all idiots in high school, and we all don't know exactly what we want and what we're capable of. But I mean, myself now realizes that like what I've done is, or what I did is incredible. And I'm grateful for the time that I was running. And I wouldn't change it because I think it taught me a lot of good lessons. And it definitely matured me a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I guess now that you've explained to the viewers everything about like how your running career went and having a lot of success and getting to nationals and everything. So how was it like those last few months after nationals? Because I know that's like here, like straight drop down, like
oh, the highest of the highs and the lowest of lows. Oh my goodness, man. Well, I mean, as I said earlier, I thought if I make it to nationals, I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna retire right there on the spot,
which you couldn't do because it was actually no, you had like 3 months left, so it was a lot better than having like 5 or 6 months left.
Yeah, but those last couple months were brutal. I remember. So here's my advice for anybody out there who is like on the fence about running, because I know there's probably a lot of people listening to this who don't know exactly which direction they want to take. Once you lose that fire for an endurance sport, it's very hard to get it back. And Garrett, you know this, but we had a guy on the team who lost the fire and now he's just entirely gone. And we tried to get him back, but once you're out of that mindset of like pushing yourself, it's just gone. And so for people out there who you're kind of a little bit wishy-washy, you don't know where you want to be or what you want to do, I would say really evaluate why you run and what your goals are, and then go from there. If it's something that you really enjoy, that you really want to do, that you want to accomplish more with it, then go for it. But for me, I was totally done at that point. I was happy with what I had done, and nothing else was going to make me happy in terms of running.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a good way to sum it up. Like, there's not much you can do after that. Like, because your bread and butter was cross country, I think, like in my opinion. I don't know if you think the same thing, but I think you were very good at cross and you ran cross very well. So track for a lot of, like I said, you stay differently if you think differently, but a lot of cross guys hate track. Like, you necessarily didn't have to hate track, but I know a lot of cross guys that would rather run cross, which makes me insane because like, I'm like, how could you run cross only and like not look forward to track season? Like,
I don't know. Like I think I liked cross country better because I was always better at cross country. But I love track, dude. There's something magical about being on a track and being with 400 meters to go and just absolutely kicking as hard as you can and beating a guy. Like, that's wild.
yeah. All right. Well, I have like a few more questions I want to ask you.
Roll them off.
They're very controversial because like, especially in the running community. So, and you're like, you and Jamie, which to the viewers, Jamie is a British guy we had on our team that just recently graduated. You two had the like most like opposite definitions of nutrition than what I thought. So, so do you think nutrition really helps runners as much as like people give it credit for? Because I used to, and I really don't anymore, honestly.
It depends. Depends on the person.
Yeah.
You look at somebody, for me, when I was running 115 miles a week, I had to eat pizza and drink Mountain Dew in order to get enough calories. And if I didn't eat pizza and drink Mountain Dew, then I was going to get injured because I had no fuel, right?
Yeah.
But like when I was running 60 miles a week, obviously what I ate was different.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it then.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on the person.
Yeah.
I think it matters, but not as much as you would think.
Well, we have a guy on a team now that it's like really truly like just like if I had any doubts before, like I really don't anymore. This guy gets dessert for every meal he eats in the calf. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He eats like a cheesecake muffin or like a chocolate muffin or a chocolate cookie or ice cream or like he has to have something.
Who is this?
It's Rob.
Oh,
You
it's
know,
Rob.
yeah, Rob. And it's hilarious because like when he tried to eat a salad, like he felt like shit and didn't run great. Like so it's just like I don't know. Ryan, what do you think?
I just think he said it. When you run so much, it doesn't matter. You just burn everything off.
Yeah,
I just think it's that simple.
yeah. Um, so here's another question that's been killing me to ask you. How many undiagnosed S words have you had?
More than I can count, man.
Yeah.
No, but legitimately, like there are things. I have problems now with my legs 2 years after quitting running.
Trevor literally has a hole in his like
I have a hole in my calf.
he has a hole in his calf, literally.
My freshman year of college, I tore my calf and I decided that it was all right to still run. And so I just kept training and running 100 miles a week
Some dig
like an
guidance.
idiot. And now I legitimately have a hole in my calf.
Yeah, it's just
I'm surprised you remember that. Yeah.
oh yeah, that's like one of the bro. I literally like when I think of like bad shit crazy, like I think of like how Trevor was in college. Like, like this guy was like insane, like insane in like in every aspect.
See,
So
that's fun for me to hear because I honestly, there's a lot of people in college who like I didn't know their perspective on me.
yeah. Well, you're getting mine now.
Yeah, it's good to hear. Yeah. I've heard one guy describe it. He was like, "You're a really hard worker," and he was like afraid of me.
um, so I know you mentioned this earlier. What is it that you think that you still wanted to accomplish in college that you didn't necessarily accomplish?
There's nothing that I think I could have accomplished that I didn't.
Okay. Well, here's another question. If you could redo anything in college, what would you redo? But I feel like you're gonna say nothing.
No, there's a lot.
Okay. Oh,
Doesn't have to
okay.
do with running though.
No, that's what I meant. That's what I meant though. With running, is there anything? Because in the other
Yeah.
side of things, I definitely could see like I could see a couple myself. So
Yeah. With running, I would have. So one thing I realized was the reason why I had a lot of calf issues was because I never really stretched. And so I probably would have just taken better care of my body. Like even after easy runs, it's just like it's good practice to just get like a 10-minute stretch in after, and you have no idea. But like if you get that 10-minute stretch in after an easy run and after every single run, it might save you a ton down the line. Like it's not fun during like the moment, but later down the line, it's gonna save you a lot of time and a lot of injuries.
so would you say that the little things matter? Like
The little things 100% matter.
yeah. Very cliche, but it's very true.
It
Very,
is
very true.
incredibly true. Yes.
Yeah. So how has your because I haven't really talked to you very much, but how has your post running career been? Like how has it been in the real world?
It's been good, man. I've got a good job now. I work remotely and I'm living in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Oh, I didn't even know you moved.
Yeah, I'm living in Chattanooga near my girlfriend. It's been fun, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've just been playing a lot of disc golf, which is something that I picked up to nurture that competitiveness in me,
Yeah.
and just working a lot.
So I know we talked about it outside of the podcast, but what different because for those of you that don't know, Trevor has pretty much been like competing like disc golf competitively, like actually like in a league, right?
Yeah, so I am a member of the Professional Disc Golf Association. I think when I was living in Virginia, I was like number 12 in the state. But I'll do professional tournaments, and like sometimes there's like thousands of dollars on the line.
So what are the nerves like before a race compared to like the nerves before like a disc golfing tournament?
So the nerves with the disc golf tournament are incredible, like totally different. And I'm kind of an adrenaline junkie a little bit. I love jumping off cliffs and stuff, and I think that's one of the reasons why I love like racing is because that adrenaline that you get right before. But it's totally different because as soon as the gun goes off, all those nerves are gone, right? Like you don't think about that at all. It's just like go, 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 go. And then, but in a disc golf tournament, you throw your first shot, and then for about the first 6 holes of the round, you're nervous as can be. And then those nerves are gone for the most part, but they come back at points. And then on hole 18, they're totally back again.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the nerves before a race, but spread that out. And then you feel those jitters, but you also have to be incredibly skillful while you have those jitters.
Yeah.
Because it's a weird concept for me, but
It's not really something we have to worry about with running though, because it's just like it's second nature. When you're running, I mean, you really don't think about much in short races and stuff like that. So
yeah, I don't know why that is, but it's, as I said, like once the gun goes off, you're good.
yeah, you like
It's just like that hour build up before.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I think that's just about it. I guess, Ryan, do you have any other questions?
It was supposed to be 30 minutes. This podcast is gonna be like an hour, but
No, let's roll it out, man.
It's too
Ryan,
good, bro.
Ryan, hit me with
Too
something
good.
profound.
All right.
Should I do out these quick questions, Garrett? Or
Oh yeah, I look forward to these.
all right, we do these quick questions.
Honestly, like I know you guys didn't ask this question, but I feel like this is my favorite part of the podcast right here.
Yeah, this is quick questions. We don't really have a title. We just make it up every time.
It's the all-out kick around, if you want to call it that. But
your favorite running shoes?
Next
structures.
Wait, say that again. I didn't hear you.
Nike Next Percents.
Oh, okay.
Dude, they're honestly. Let me elaborate on this. Nike Next Percents are the most incredible shoe you will ever wear, and they will change your life. They're $250, but they're worth it. I'm sponsored by Nike.
Even if they don't have the carbon plate in them.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God, they're so good. It's like, have you worn them? Have you guys worn them?
Yeah, actually, no, I haven't worn them. I have the Alpha Flies though, but I'm gonna break them in.
Dude, you gotta get a pair. Like they're wild. My girlfriend is trying to get a pair because she's gonna run a road race coming up, and I'm like, they will change your life. Like they're nuts. Like the spring that you feel out of those things is unlike any other.
Yeah, bro. Those Nike structures though.
They're terrible. No, we were getting the bootleg structures my senior year.
Yeah, those are like the worst pair of running shoes you can ever run in. I promise you guys. Like they're just like bricks for your feet. All right, so this is actually what I'm kind of interested in too. Like, what was your hardest workout?
My hardest workout. My hardest workout was in high school.
Really? I had a feeling you were gonna say high school too, but
the hardest workout I ever did was 40 by 400.
That's like some running. That's like some running with the buffalo shit right there. Like
I know, yeah. Dude, Ryan doesn't understand this. Ryan doesn't know me, but like I had a problem.
Yeah, that's
I
literally
did 40 by 400 my senior year of high school in 72 with a 70-second break.
Wow.
That's literally insane. I don't think I've ever heard. I don't think I've ever heard of that ever in my life.
That's the greatest I've ever heard in the podcast.
Listen to this though. I brought a friend with.
Oh my gosh.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I know.
That's 10 miles of 400s.
Yeah, I literally just I calculated that in my head and I was like, damn, that shit does not sound fun, bro.
Ugh.
So who's your favorite distance runner at the moment? Or who's your favorite runner at the moment?
My favorite runner? I mean, like present
yeah.
time?
Mm-hmm.
Present time. That's gonna be cliche. I mean, probably Jacob Ingebrigtsen if he isn't doping.
Yeah.
If he isn't doping, then he's a legend. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
Okay. What is your favorite event to run?
My favorite event, honestly, probably like a 5K road race in the winter.
Ooh, that's a good one, actually.
Yeah.
That is a good one. We haven't heard that one before.
Yeah,
People usually say shit like, oh, like 800 or like 4x4, like mile or something
dude,
like that.
5K road race in the winter. You never get too hot. You're
That's
always just
different.
chilling, and you always win because it's a bunch of like terrible runners. It's like the best of all worlds.
Oh, this is a good question too. What is your go-to pre-meet dinner? And you can't say fried chicken Wednesdays from CSU.
That's Wednesday, idiot. Oh, I'm trying to think, what was my go-to dinner? I remember at CSU, I used to drink the Sobe Life Water.
The raspberry, like
the raspberry Sobe Life Water. I would drink that religiously along with milk. I love milk, dude. Milk is like my favorite thing. But I remember I don't eat too heavy the night before a meet just because like I feel like it bogs me down a bit.
Mhm.
I'll just kind of eat something light. Like I'll eat just like a pasta with some chicken on the side and like I don't know, just like normally what I would eat. I try not to eat like too different because then my stomach is jacked up, you know?
Yeah. I feel like it's like important to like not change things up like before race day.
Yeah, like if you don't eat a big ass bowl of pasta like normally, why would you eat that before a meet, you know?
Yeah, true. So this is the last question. But what's your favorite sports movie of all time? It doesn't have to do with running.
Chariots of Fire.
Never seen it.
I've
What is
never
that?
heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you serious?
I've never seen it. No.
It's a running movie, dude.
Really?
Yes.
I've seen some
It's
pretty
the
bad
best,
running. Bro, I've
it's the
seen some
best running movie of all time. It's
I
from
was
the,
say,
it's from the 70s.
I've seen really bad running movies before, and they've kind of scarred me. Like, you ever seen 4 Minute Mile?
Yeah, I have.
That one's bad.
Dude, no, this is from the 70s, and it was actually like an
It has good
Academy
reviews.
Award.
I'm looking at it right now.
It was an Academy Award winning film from the 70s, but it also has an element of like, I don't know if you guys are into this, but like Christian religion.
Yeah,
Yes.
of course.
And so it's a very touching and like fantastic film. It's about a guy named Eric Little who was in like the 1920 something Olympics in the 200. And I mean, I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but
Yeah, because I'm gonna watch it now. Like,
Garrett, you have to watch it. I think you would love it. Like, actually,
bro, I have to. And speaking of which, in like 14 minutes, we gotta watch that 200. Arian Knighton, Noah Lyles.
I will not be watching it.
Shit, I will.
I'll be in bed. Yeah, I got work tomorrow.
He's a working man. Well,
Oh yeah.
all right. So that pretty much brings us to about the end of our podcast. Kind of don't really want it to end, but
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. This has been a lot of fun.
Oh, of course. Is there anything else you want to say? Like,
yeah, I just want to say it's been good I haven't really honestly talked to anybody about running since 2 years ago.
yeah.
So it's been good to just kind of rehash this a little bit and talk to you guys about it. So yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, well, bro, thank you for reaching out and DMing us and coming on the podcast. With that, we're just gonna wrap it up, everybody. I'm with my co-host Ryan Mazzozo and Trevor Dominy, our guest, and we're signing out.